Gabriel Metcalf is the CEO of the Committee of Sydney, which is an independent think tank advocating for a Sydney that works for everyone. But before that, he was president and CEO of SPUR, which is San Francisco's equivalent of the NLA. So Gabriel, can you just bring me up to date with what's happening in Sydney right now as a result of COVID-19?
Yeah, so I've been here now a year and a half, Peter, and every conversation starts out with someone now saying, "Aren't you glad you're not in America, mate?" And it's true, I am. I love San Francisco so much, and it is my home. But it's been incredible to get to be part of the life of another amazing city. And who knew that America would collapse into total chaos while I was here under the weight of this pandemic? Who knew? It has been quite a revelation to see what people here sometimes call a normal country. They use that phrase sometimes. We're just a normal country. To be in contrast with the United States, which is not a normal country. And watching what a normal country where they give people health care and where when you win an election, you actually are expected to run things for a while, how that approaches a crisis, a true crisis, a crisis of the likes we haven't seen in generations, perhaps. Overall, the government's handling of the virus has been good, I think, and handling of the economic impacts has also been good. People are worried about the long run because Australia is so far away from things, and so the situation of global travel being shut down is incredibly impactful, and people worry that it won't come back or won't come back for a long time. And of course, Australia it's in trouble because so much of its export income comes from coal, which everyone sort of understands is going away, but can't quite get themselves to do anything about it. So in Sydney, city life is partially back open, but at this moment, Melbourne has just gone back into lockdown, and there is a fear that Sydney may be headed back into lockdown as well. We shall see. I am speaking to you from my bedroom, and most people with office jobs are still working from home.
Have there been improvements to, as in many cities, walking and cycling and so on, to get people back into work, temporary changes, pop-up bike lanes, better pedestrian spaces, that sort of thing?
Yes, we look with not so much envy as admiration at what cities like London are doing in terms of pop-up cycle lanes and all the rest. Sydney has done a tiny little bit of that. Sydney is not a good cycling city. It in fact has won awards for being the worst bicycling city in the world. It is something that a lot of us are trying to change. We have proposed that part of the fiscal stimulus infrastructure spending should go to building out the 40-year cycle plan in 3 years, which is a lot of projects that are small, that can be given out to smaller firms and would show benefit much, much more quickly and at a much lower cost than building a new rail metro network, which they are also doing. The New South Wales government is quite wonderful when it comes to public transport, but is just learning to crawl when it comes to bicycle infrastructure.
And so what do you think the sort of general feeling is about the longer term impacts of COVID-19 on Sydney as a city? I mean, I guess Australia has always been very fond of its suburbs. Do you think that this is going to be a flight back to suburbs in cities around the world as a result of this?
Yeah, well, boy, isn't that the question, Peter? We are debating that constantly. All of us who work in the city space in Australia like everywhere else. Sydney has a polycentric form to begin with, and it always has, overlaid with a pretty significant hub and spoke central business district model where a lot of the public transport lines came into the CBD. So it's a bit of a hybrid between true polycentric metropolitan forms and a more monocentric form. This question of what will the long-term culture of working from home be, just how far away are people going to go? The conventional wisdom is there will be a hybrid model. Everyone says that there will be a hybrid model. Some working from home, some coming in. But the exact nature of that hybrid model matters a lot for the way this affects settlement patterns and urban form. So we don't know the answer yet. There is a huge push to decentralize employment. I would say that is official government policy. But there is a sort of countervailing push to promote innovation precincts and to bring back the CBD. I don't think we know yet which force will be stronger.
In a period of uncertainty like this, how should mayors and those who govern our cities respond? Do we wait to see what actually happens, or do we need to start protecting what we've seen? Agglomeration for the recent past has been seen as one of the great successes of cities and why they are economic drivers. If we start seeing the hollowing out of cities, isn't that going to really have a major impact on their economic strength generally? And how do we create a voice for cities we know today, or should we be promoting some different sort of organization of the way that our metropolitan areas operate?
Really good question. Yeah, all these years when we said that innovation needs face-to-face contact and serendipity, not just meeting with people when you plan to meet them and all of that. Were we wrong? Were we wrong about the benefits of agglomeration all these years? I don't think we were wrong. I think that's true. And I think we would be foolish to throw that out right now. If this isn't just one virus, but this is one in a series of major global pandemics that we can't seem to control, then I think inevitably that will bring an age of human history into being where we do not gather together in the same way we have up till now. And I hope that doesn't happen. I hope on the public health side that we're able to put in place a global public health system that can prevent this from happening on a regular basis. The future of cities depends on that. It depends on the success on the public health side. Assuming that sometime in the medium run, we get a vaccine or a treatment or herd immunity, and we can go back to gathering, I think people will gather. I mean, I remember after they drove the airplanes into the buildings on 9/11, how widely it was predicted that that was the end of cities, certainly the end of corporations being in iconic buildings that looked like targets. And if that had continued, if there had been continued successful blowing up of buildings, that probably would have happened. But because the security forces kept that from happening too often in the cities of the West, we entered another boom, another age of city building, and I think that's what I personally think is most likely to happen. However, the asterisk on that is that we've all discovered, those of us lucky enough to still have jobs and lucky enough to have them be office jobs largely, we've all discovered how wonderful it is to work from home, how much time we get back in our days. And to the degree that our employers want to ask us our opinions and our preferences, I do think there will be a shift to more working from home. And if we can manage to keep the centrism in polycentrism, so it's not just sprawling all over the landscape, but it's nodes that are linked by public transport, you know, the old Ebenezer Howard vision that is still the right vision of walkable communities linked by public transport, we perhaps have another chance to try for that.
So the 15-minute city, which Anne Hidalgo in Paris is currently championing, and you see that as a way forward.
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, I'm a city planner, and I suppose this is the oath of office that all city planners take, that we love that model. The nodes, the compact nodes linked by efficient public transport, which in theory can be kind of infinitely scaled up. We love that model.
One of the best cases I heard against the idea of shifting people out of city centres was in the post-war era in London. The government had a policy of moving businesses out to new towns outside of the centre as a part of the 1944 Abercrombie Plan, which really saw density of cities as something bad. And I was talking to somebody the other day who'd been around at the time, who said that there was a real problem that companies who moved out suddenly saw productivity and innovation dropping, and they were just desperate to get back into the centre again. And that was 30 to 40 years ago. And we have a very different sort of service economy, which does depend very much, I think, on people getting together and interacting and generating business.
I think that's right. And we've seen that over and over in many different societies, that the push to decentralize is not supportive of certainly the most value-added, highly creative parts of the knowledge economy. And in a sense, what they continually rediscover is that if they're going to push the jobs so far away that it's hard to bring people together, they often just push them right out of the country.
Anyway, Gabriel, it's been a pleasure to have a chat with you, and I look forward to meeting up physically sometime in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Peter. Look forward to seeing you in London sometime before too long.